Hi everyone, Jon Markee here, your Builder CPA, and today we are going to build a cash forecast. So this can be one of the most complicated elements of any good business. Even the most profitable home builders can run out of cash if things are not timed correctly. So hopefully we can help you alleviate that. So I've started with the cash flow forecast freebie spreadsheet here. Look for these instructions to be updated as we go, as I learn more about this process. And as things change, I want to make sure this stays up to date. So if you come and you use this tool and you find something that needs to be fixed, please feel free to drop a comment so I can come back in here and update these instructions. So first, I've got the QuickBooks sample company open. I don't have any live client data on the screen. And we are going to export the QuickBooks history for the last year. So in this sample company, they have one main checking account. So I'm going to go into the chart of accounts. First, I will say probably the number one thing that you should do first is actually match the items that are in the bank feed, because those could have a significant impact on your forecast. I have that as a number 6 here, but I would really probably do that first. So I might move number 6 to be number 2. So in the meantime, I'm just going to work through here. I'm going to pay close attention to the dates on each of these transactions to make sure that they are in fact a true match. And I'm just going to work through this. I'll pause the video so you don't have to watch. Okay, so I'm just clicking add on the very last transaction in the bank feed. Now we can navigate over here to the chart of accounts and we can go into the checking account. And now I'm going to, I'll do exactly the last 12 months. So we are here January 6th, 2025. So I will start with 01, 07, 2024, and I will do 01, 06, 2025. And I'm going to go ahead and apply. And I actually want the dates to be sorted from oldest to newest. And in this sample company, it looks like they only have data loaded back until July. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and click this up button over here, and it's going to export a file into my downloads folder. There's another step though. So QuickBooks likes to export things as .xls, and that's not going to work for what we need. So I am going to open it on my computer. I'm actually using just the Mac Numbers app, but you could use Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. All of these tools have a way that you can go to File and Download As or Export To, and in my case, I'm going to export to Excel. And I'm sorry that this is on a different screen. You'll just have to Google how to change a file from .xls to .xlsx, and I'm sure instructions will appear for whatever system you have. So I have a .xlsx file, and I also have ChatGPT up. So you could use ChatGPT, you could use Google Gemini. As far as I know, ChatGPT does have a fee-free subscription, so hopefully this will be a free tool for you. And I'm going to navigate back to the instructions over here. So point number 3, I give you the prompt. So I'm just going to select this text and copy it. And then I'm going to come back over to ChatGPT. And what we're doing, just so you know, is we're trying to get ChatGPT to identify the recurring transactions. So if you pay for QuickBooks every month or another subscription every month, that's going to play a role in your cash forecast. Your situation could be slightly different if you're paying things on a credit card, and in that case, you might want to take a look at what your credit card balance is, and that would factor into your cash forecast. And you'll see at the end, we will be able to build any of those type of items into your cash forecast. But for now, we're just looking at the activity in the checking account, and you could do this procedure over and over for all of the different accounts that you have, either bank accounts or credit card accounts. So I'm going to upload a file from my computer, and I've got my XLSX file here, and I'm just going to paste the prompt in here, and we're just telling ChatGPT what we're doing, and we're trying to identify that we want it to build a spreadsheet that contains these columns for the recurring transactions. So this might take a few minutes. I'm going to let it think and analyze, and you can read that full prompt on your own time and understand it. But really what we're trying to do here is we're just trying to get ChatGPT to understand the recurring transactions and calculate an average amount. And sometimes it does this where it doesn't really like the format of the data, and that's okay. It is cleaning it on its own. And in a moment, I should be able to tell it, okay, so it says, let me proceed. I'll pause the video until it's done analyzing. Okay, this is great. So it has, okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and download the spreadsheet, and it looks like it saved it as a CSV file. Your mileage may vary whether it does Excel or CSV or another format. As long as we can get it into a spreadsheet, all that we need is the ability to copy and paste the sheet over here into our recurring transactions. And I was playing around with this earlier. It looks like we've already got some sample data in there. I can override that, and here is what we actually need. So it's telling me an amount, the next date, but I strongly encourage you to double check its work. Most home builders have a lot of recurring transactions. Most of them play into overhead. And if ChatGPT does its job correctly, theoretically, you should be able to sum up this column and get an idea of what your average monthly overhead operating costs would be. I get that question all the time. What are my overhead operating costs? And I encourage you to manually play around with this. I'm not quite sure why it chose these numbers that it did over to the right. I've done this a few times and gotten different outputs. So like I said, your mileage may vary, and maybe you decide you don't even want to use ChatGPT. Maybe you have confidential information in your register and you don't want that uploaded into ChatGPT. You could build this spreadsheet manually all by yourself. But for the sake of time, we're going to head back over to QuickBooks, and I'm just going to right click the Chrome tab that I'm working on, and I'm going to choose duplicate. I still want this register, but I could have just navigated to reports anyway. I didn't want to lose my work. So I'm going over here to reports, and then I'm going to find my accounts payable aging summary. You could also look at the accounts payable aging detail. Maybe you have multiple bills from one vendor and you're only going to pay part of them. Maybe that's all that cash flow allows for now. So you could look at the accounts payable aging detail. In this case, I'll keep it simple. I'll just go with the aging summary. And this is going to help me decide what bills I will pay when I see what my available cash balance will be. So I'm going to choose to export this to Excel, and it looks like it is exporting as .xlsx this time, so that's a little bit more convenient. And I'm going to open it again, and then I'm just going to copy and paste from the spreadsheet on my computer into the accounts payable tab here. And what you also would consider is you want your accounts payable aging to be up to date. You don't want any stale numbers in here. Things that are never going to get paid need to get voided. Ideally, you'd be working with something that's clean. Now we need to start our ledger. So I'm going to go back to the register tab that I have open, and I'm going to export what I have, except first, I'm only going to filter the last couple months of data. So I think I'll do November 7th, 2024 through 2025 today. I will say you want to pay attention to items that have not yet cleared because those are going to play a role in your forecast. So if you see something on here, like a check that you had written but torn up, you're going to want to go in and void that transaction before you move forward. You want this register to be nice and clean and updated. So just, I'm always skeptical of things that have not yet cleared, but I guess some of these, well, they're getting pretty old. They're all the way back to November. I would hope that most of these items would clear within a week or so. So if you've got uncleared payments, that's going to skew your cash forecast into making you think you have an unfavorable cash position. And if you have uncleared deposits, you're going to be skewed to think that your cash flow position is a little more positive than what it really is. So ideally, we would only see things that have the C for cleared, and the green box just means that it matches to the bank feed. So I'm going to move forward with this data set, and let's see, I already exported, so no, I did not. I need to click this button to export. I'll pause the video for. Okay, so I have the register on another screen, and I'm just going to copy all of it, and I'm going to paste it in here. And I find the top two rows are pretty worthless, so we can just go ahead and delete those. And here's a trick that I always like to do. I like to freeze the top row so I always know what I'm working on. So now we have to create the formula that's going to analyze this balance. And as you can see, this sample company has a negative cash balance, so they really need a cash flow forecast. So the first row, so just to be sure that this is working, I'm going to select all. I'm going to go to data. I'm going to go to advanced sorting options, and I'm going to sort by the date. And the first row of the sheet, that's going to stay as a hard-coded number. And remember our balance down here. I'm just going to copy and paste it so we don't forget it, because after we calculate this balance formula, we should get this number to be exactly the same as it was. So I'm going to hit equals. We're going to start with the balance, the previous balance. We're going to add deposits, and we're going to subtract any payments. And then we can just drag this formula all the way down. And we know that we did it right because this number is now calculated based on a formula, and it's the exact same thing that was already here. So next, I'm going to look at the recurring transactions. So we want to pull these items in. So maybe we can copy the date first. And let's see what happens if so I pasted the values, and then I also want to choose the date format. It just makes it a little easier to look at. So these are things that we know are going to hit the bank account no matter what. They're going to get paid. And then the other thing we want to do is we'll just enter a dollar amount here. We want these to show up. So if they are payment amounts, which all of these are, you can just paste them into the payment column. But you might have some things that you have to differentiate between payment and deposit. So then, assuming that all of these things get paid, if we take our formula down, as you can see, in about a week, we're going to have a balance that's even more negative. So maybe we know that on January 7th, we're going to have a customer deposit, and that's going to be a positive amount for $25,000. So we're going to enter this projection here. I like using the format painter to keep everything looking nice and consistent. I also like these to be dollar values. But then what we can do, we can click this button up here in the top left, go to data, sort range, advanced sorting. It has a header row. We're going to sort based on the date, and we still have a problem. So our formula is now out of date, but we're going to go back to the place where we know that it is still dated correctly, and we're just going to drag it down. And now our forecast is updated. So you can see as of tomorrow, we're going to be back in the black. We're going to have a positive number. So now we can start considering paying some accounts payable. So why don't we get the oldest one done first? So PG&E, we're going to put them down to get their payment of $86.44. So I'm just going to paste them here. Tomorrow is January 7th. And what was that amount again? $86.44. So that's going to be a payment, $86.44. Now we know that we can afford to pay them. So every time I do this, you can drop in multiple if you want. I'm going to go for the most oldest ones first. So this one is $205. So maybe you want to do this right before you pay your bills. And once again, I'm going to make sure, I'm just going to change this entire column so that we have consistency with the dates. And then we're going to go back to data, advanced sorting options. We're going to sort by the date from oldest to newest, and we're going to drag our formula down. So hopefully you can see this really quick example, how you can use this basic tool. I don't even pay attention to these columns over here. You could potentially just delete them. Is it a little elementary? Yes, absolutely. For those of us who really want to get our hands on the cash forecast and understand what's going to happen, I think this is a great tool. I know that there's other tools out there that are automated. They brag about using AI, all of this kind of stuff. I could list probably half a dozen that I've tried. And I have to say, every time I try a new app that's going to cash flow forecast, it fails. We end up with an overdraft situation or something goes wrong. So as much as I want an app to take over this process for me, I acknowledge the fact that this is really the only way that I know it's going to be right. There's a lot that has to go into this before you can get to this routine of cash flow forecasting. For example, you really have to be keeping up with your QuickBooks file on a regular basis, ideally at least every week. But this hopefully will be a great tool to help you avoid overdrafts. So as always, I welcome comments and questions, and reach out to me if there's anything I can do to help. Otherwise, have a great day.